zero cost to the taxpayer in perpetuity, and in fact money coming back into the taxpayer purse through interest payments. And I do feel as well that if we lobbied better as an organisation, we could have had a Manchester style deal by now, and based on per head population, it would have been 90 million quid for Cambridge Champions Borough. And if you put the 40 million with that, we would have had £130 million capital fund that we could now be using in the £40 million revolving fund method, and supporting and delivering affordable housing and market housing for a period of 10 years. So I do feel that the whole affair with the affordable housing programme, one, it has actually been a huge success. It's delivering good numbers, and it would have been over target numbers at very low cost to the public purse on average compared with any other measure that you care to put in. So I think that is a cause for celebration, and we should celebrate the success of the affordable housing programme in this organisation. And I want to say huge thank you to the outgoing head council, Roger Thompson, who steered all this through very, very difficult times and turbulence of government, and all of his supporting officers who are some of them here today, and I want to thank you for it, because I think it's been a huge success story.
I wish life was as simple as that, I share your tribute to the officers who have worked really hard. I underline the fact that we're not yet at the point of not having a role, because we still, as the numbers show, we've got a really important role there of 924 units that we still have to make sure are delivered in a much more challenging market than we had a couple of years ago. But at the heart of it, the past mayor just went straight on with his toolbox without getting any input from Deluxe. So I asked at 2 different boards, has there been a request from Deluxe to approve these loans? And those loans effectively lost the combined authority £40 million. That's the equivalent of about 1,000 affordable homes. So I cannot accept the interpretation that you put on it, that this has been a huge success. You will see if you look back at the board minutes that I specifically asked the question, have we asked Deluxe permission to divert this money, which is not in line with what we agreed with Deluxe we would spend the money on. And I feel for the 1,000 families in this geography who could have had another household, who could have had an affordable housing grant. I also feel for people in the southern half of the county, because with the limited funds that the combined authority had, the only areas where it could intervene didn't largely include East Cambridgeshire or Huntingdonshire or South Cambridgeshire. And if you look at the schemes, and I pay tribute to the officers for making exactly the most of what the opportunities were, almost all the schemes were in the northern part of the county, where in fact the deal and the wording of the deal in 2016 had been largely to help the southern half of the county. So yes, the officers have played a blinder, and they still will, because there's still work to be done. But we were in the naughty corner. I agree that civil servants delayed it, and they delayed it on until September, October, when the deadline was to approve schemes the following March. We were still debating with civil servants in September 21, when the deadline was for the final schemes was March 22. So it wasn't helped, but yeah, we've lost the ability to deliver affordable housing. We've lost any chance, and Sajid Javid said in 2017 that we could expect potentially to get a further sum of money, given that affordable housing is a huge priority. So I think there's a bit of a wake here, not so much a celebration.
I really don't want to get into a benefit debate about this. You voiced your opinion, Councillor Bailey. Councillor Herbst voiced his, and we've asked Councillor Lamb and Councillor Wheeler if they want to contribute, but there's no point in us getting into a political debate about it. You have speculated about how successful you should be. Councillor Herbert has responded. I don't know what you No, that's right. No, okay. Then I'm going to move the recommendation, which is to note the report. Can we note the report, please? So moving on to item 2.2.2, which is housing and was it the affordable housing housing communities committee looking at the affordable housing program in so this is Nick, I think.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, everybody. The purpose of this item is to update members with respect to loans made for the £40 million revolving fund that was created as part of the Housing Strategy 2018. The revolving fund initiative committed a total of £51 million through 5 loans, 2 of them loans remain outstanding. The loan repayments from the Informed Pathway Grant Fund 2021 to 2022 Affordable Housing Programme. One of these loans was for £9.647 billion that was made to Histon Road Development Limited Liability Partnership with Lara House Developments Limited acting as guarantor. This loan was to facilitate the development of Histon Road in Cambridge. The amount of the loan outstanding was £7.613 million as at the 21st of February 2023. The most recent report from the monitoring surveyors confirms the project is 9 months behind schedule and suggests July 2023 to be a realistic completion date if the loan is to be repaid from sales proceeds. The contractual repayment date is the 7th of May 2023, so the borrower has some 6 weeks to make arrangements to repay the loan. If the loan is not repaid by the due date, then the borrower will become liable to pay the default interest rate of 6% as the Bank of England base rate. This will currently equate to 10%, and the combined authority can then consider what action it's going to take to recover the funds. The other outstanding loan was for £24.4 million that was made to East Cambridgeshire Trading Company to facilitate the refurbishment of a former MOD site in Ely. The amount of the loan outstanding was £5.9 million on the 21st of February, and I'm pleased to report that the borrower has confirmed that an alternative facility has been arranged for the loan to be repaid at the due date on the 31st of March 2023. That concludes the presentation. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Just before I open this up for questioning, I've had a number of emails from overview and scrutiny about this paper, and Councillor Andrew Wire, who's the lead member of the Housing Scrutiny, has submitted a question this morning, which, using my discretion as chair, I'd just like to read out the comment, please. He said, the work the internal auditors have been doing on aspects of the housing functions of the combined authority in relation to CLTs and the grants programme is very welcome, and it's even more welcome that there is the prospect that there will be further review of the housing loans made by the auditors. I understand that the intention is for the internal audit reports on CLTs and on grants to be presented to the Audit and Governance Committee on the 24th of March 2023. It would be helpful if this could be confirmed. This will enable the scope of the overall scrutiny review of the housing programme to be finalised, allowing it to proceed. I very much hope that this can be done, and the review itself be conducted in close coordination with the proposed internal audit work on the loans programme. Are you able to comment on that, please?
The paragraph in the paper does refer to an initial review of the loans to the private developer. There have been other audits, there's one very recently related to the housing programme loans that has been mentioned. paper's really self-explanatory, but this is the only area outstanding that they haven't looked at, so I think we're going to have a look at it. As for what's on the agenda of the Audit and Governance Committee, I think I'll have to pass that on to Ian now.
Okay, well, right, we'll take this away and make sure that Oven's group are get a full response to this. And I would like a discussion outside of this meeting about the board having full sight of all these audit reports as well. Is that okay? All right. Okay, any questions on item 2.2, please? Councillor Knight.
Well, just briefly, you mentioned there's a report of audit and governance. Do you have any more information that can be used to ensure that we've had a sense of all members of the housing committee?
This would be the right report. The thing is that Oven's group are doing a sort of deep dive of the housing programme and they need all the evidence to support them to do that in a timely manner. Okay. All right. So, Councillor Wayne.
Yeah, I have a number of questions about the audits, but the public one has been discussed already. I just thought it might be helpful if I provided took the trouble to just get a latest update on the MOD housing site in sales. Just as a reminder, it was a massive site of 92 empty, very high quality, well-built MOD properties in England that have been exercising local residents for many years that they were sitting there empty. So 92 properties was a lot to shift during, with COVID in the middle of it all. So we thank the CPCA for, its support during that time with changing of the loans and reprofiling the date. But there are open market properties. There are 13 properties left to sell as we stand, but we've got 10 of those are reserved, so 3 remain on the market, and 3 have already exchanged and will complete during March, 4 due to exchange imminently and likely to complete by the end of March, and the remaining 3 will exchange and complete in April. And the 3 that are left, we've had there's been an upturn in level interest as well, so we're comfortable with -2 properties getting there. And the shared ownership properties, so 15 shared ownership properties that wouldn't have been delivered had a private developer taken the site, and 12 of the 15 had an exchange and completed. There are 3 left, one of which is due imminently, and we continue with 4 relatively quickly. So just thought that might be helpful. I mentioned earlier that my understanding is that East Hams Trading Company has paid CPCA 1.8 million in interest payments, and it does allude to the interest received from the loans, and I think it would be helpful for the organisation to understand in total what level of interest has been received back from each of the loans. I know that between the MOD site and the Headland CLT site, East Hams Trading Company has paid back 1.8 million in interest payments back to this organisation, so it would be interesting to see what the others have paid as well. I'd ask for that to be followed up and given to members of the Housing Committee and the substitutes. That would be great.
Thank you, Councillor Wayne. I presume that will come out in all the audit work.
I believe it's happening finance part of the progress of the investment. Maybe we'll be announcing that.
Okay, that information will be really provided. Thank you very much. Okay. Right. Thank you. So there's no more questions. We are asked to note the current position in respect of outstanding loan payments required to fund the 21-22 affordable housing programme. We have to note it. Very much indeed. Right. And we want item 2.3, which is community housing. This is good. we've received an amendment from Councillor Herbert to this paper. And the amendment says, recommend to the Combined Authority Board to discontinue the provide. So where's the? Oh, right. Okay, fine, sorry. Okay, so the recommendation is recommend the Combined Authority to discontinue providing a support service to community homes groups from the 31st of March 2023. And I'm going to ask Nick to introduce it. I think we might have an amendment to it, but I think we're probably going to have a second amendment, okay? And you submitted that in the officers know what the amendment is. Okay, okay, we can start with it.
Chair. By way of background, I thought it would be useful to explain that the Combined Authority used to provide an in-house service, support service for community homes groups. And in 2021, the board approved an initiative to provide a startup grant of £5,000 for groups of people that are interested in embarking on the community homes development. 3 applications for startup grants were approved by the committee, and these were arranged by the in-house team that subsequently left the Combined Authority later that year. When the staff left, we discovered that the approved grant applications couldn't be paid because none of the groups were incorporated. Grants could only have been paid to groups of individuals, so the funding could be accounted for or monitored properly. In January 2022, this issue was specifically addressed by the committee. They approved a new process that included a 2-year window for the groups to become incorporated and then draw the funding, and that 2-year window started from the date that the committee approved the application. At the same time, Eastern Community Homes were appointed to provide an outsourced support service to groups across the whole of the Combined Authority area, with the exception of East Cambridgeshire, where a support function is provided through East Cambridge District Council offices. The annual cost of appointing Eastern Community Homes was £24,000. East Cambridge District Council then requested funding of £100,000 to support community housing initiatives within East Cambridgeshire. In October, the committee approved the funding, but it was to be made available for all groups across the whole of the Combined Authority area to provide further support. To qualify for this funding, groups are required to demonstrate a clear and deliverable plan to undertake redevelopment work that will progress to housing development. The arrangement for Eastern Community Homes to provide the support service ends on the 31st of March, and the Combined Authority needs to decide whether to continue the arrangement under the new agreement. The officer recommendation to discontinue providing the support service from March 2023 is solely based on the fact that there's been very little tempo of the funding. It's also apparent that there are no real prospects of any community homes being delivered as a result of the funding initiatives. If we take a look at the 3 startup grants that were approved, 2 groups have yet to become incorporated and draw the funding. And the company that did apply to draw the funding for the other grant bears very little resemblance to the group of individuals that applied. So that drawdown request was declined. Looking at the £100,000 pot of further support funding, there's only one application for £5,335 been submitted, and that was very recently submitted. And this is to be considered by committee in June. The report produced by Eastern Community Homes mentions 2 other funding applications that have yet to be forwarded to the Combined Authority. But from the information within the report, it doesn't look like any of these groups will be in a position to demonstrate a real prospect of delivering any homes. So, to conclude, the service provided by Eastern Community Homes costs approximately £24,000 a year, and since they were reported, only 1 new funding application has been received, and none of the approved funding applications have been drawn. So, given the take-up, officers have taken the view that the arrangement doesn't really provide good value for money, and suggest that members consider allocating funding to other priorities. So that's the basis of the recommendation.
Thank you very much indeed, Nick. So before we start taking amendments, I just want to say something. So, you know, we need to be bear in mind that we are under close scrutiny from JUA. We need to be very mindful about supporting schemes which we know are delivering very poor value for money. But we also need to be mindful that the amount of money that this combined authority has is very tight these days, and we cannot be wasting money. And there's been a lot of debate over the last 5 years about wastage of money within the housing programme, and actually, you know, what we have here is a recommendation to actually stop that waste. Now, if we go with the officer recommendation, then there is an opportunity for the leaders' strategy group to discuss what else that money is allocated towards. And again, that's not necessarily something that's not to do with housing. It could well be something that supports all the partner councils to deliver more community-led housing, but in a better way. But it seems clear from this paper that poor value for money, very little actual demonstration of delivery. Even though there are examples within our districts of community-led housing, I think in my own patch, it's actually being funded by my council. So there are other pots of money, and there have been some government pots of money as well for people to tap into here. But it's, you know, if you have a funding stream where you have no uptake of applications or no applications which are acceptable, then actually it is incumbent upon you to review that very seriously indeed. So, you know, any speakers, please. Councillor Herbert.
Yeah, I mean, my amendment, Chair, would be to at least give the opportunity for the groups that are affected a say. So I would hope that the committee would not put the decision on forever, but for a cycle and perhaps 3 months minimum, because just to make 3 or 4 points, I won't remember this, but Marmalade Lane took the previous council nearly 2 years, and these projects do take a long time. As in his report, that we took the first item 2.1, reference that in great shape when we go to the fact that the community organisations were funded from the combined authority for significant schemes. The nature of Cambridgeshire is that, yes, there's some huge budgets for affordable land, very little land allocated in plans, but I do believe there are opportunities from some of my own knowledge of small sites that could be brought forward, as well as the principle of community land trust. So I don't think there's no need to price there, and I expected, and I did have a discussion with the bank that we should give this far more publicity. If we also just look at other counties, Chair, it's largely fallen on the shoulders of the county councils, but every one of the other 5 counties in the east has got an enabling officer. So I would ask that we defer this to the 3 months, that we ask these two community authorities for better offer. In the scheme of things, and I accept every pound matters, £24,000 is enormous sum of money. I believe that there are projects out there that will come forward that will make £24,000 look good. Now, I fully support Mr. Sweeney. We're not allocating money from £100,000 fund unless there are specifically good projects. And I just don't think with 2 weeks to go until this is just cut off like that we have enough evidence to make a decision today. So I ask for 3 months.
Thank you, Councillor Herbert. Can I just ask what, bearing in mind we have a contract that expires at the end of this month, how would we manage a deferment of this decision until the next time this committee meets?
I understand that the committee will need to make a decision about funding as to whether or not to reallocate that beyond the 31st of March. The decision to appoint Eastern Community Homes to continue another arrangement is it would be a new agreement. I think think that could easily be negotiated, and I think that directors could agree that in delegated authority, because the costs are minimal. So I've no hesitation about being able to negotiate that extension for however long committee see fit. So I don't think there's a genuine problem with that. The current, it isn't actually a contract, it's a memorandum of understanding. It would be a new memorandum of understanding, so it wouldn't be a renewal as such. We could vary the terms to suit, but there's quite a limited window of negotiation.
Okay, so if we take that forward and extend the MOU for a further 3 months, asking officers to do more work to potentially negotiate a new contract, but also to do some further engagement with the beneficiaries of the work so far. That's why is that an unreasonable burden as far as the limited resources within housing that this authority has?
I don't think it's unreasonable, but what I would flag is the fact that from the information in the report and from the total today, it looks like very little and so when you think about the resources employed, not only officer time and commuter time, the very small grants that we're talking about here, are there really going to make difference is what I suggest to consider.
Absolutely. And going back to the point that we've already demonstrated on report how we put that money as well. So Councillor Herbert, do you want to make a formal amendment that the
I would ask that there's a 3-month engagement with both groups, that there's publicity by each of the district councils, that there's a decision to be made by the committee whether or not to continue this, and then it comes back after the 3-month engagement with some publicity back to the housing committee. That's when the decision is referred to remain a 3 months engagement, and then it comes to the housing committee following that engagement.
Okay. All right. And I open that up for discussion, please. That's a name.
Well, I have an amendment that I suspect we might want to take first with council permission, because as my memory fails, we might want to come back to your amendment.
Okay.
Can I put this up with council members present?
Well, I need to know what you're offering.
Okay. So my amendment, so noting that the recommendation before us is to discontinue providing support service to community homes from the 31st of March. Full stop. No service. Finished. Shut up shop on supporting community groups and community-led development. It's not just about ECH, it's about finishing support completely. So my amendment is A, continue to provide a support service to community homes groups from 31st of March 2023, and B, renew the arrangement with Eastern Community Homes to provide support facilities to groups that express an interest in progressing the community-led housing scheme. So it's to continue and renew, and if you're happy to take that first, I would like to speak to my reasons why.
So if I just take some advice, so is that not essentially voting against the recommendation? It's maintaining the status quo. So protocol is going to take, that's a good one to take first, take this action. Okay. Right, so can we take Councillor Herbert's amendment, please?
I'm happy to send in Councillor Allen. I'm happy to send in Councillor Evans.
I mean, my feeling here is, as I said at the beginning, I just feel we might be extending the pain, quite honestly. We have a really very completely unequivocal report here saying this scheme has not worked, it's not delivered, people haven't applied for the grants. When they have applied for the grants, they then haven't drawn them down. People applied for the grants who didn't have a constitution that allowed them to apply and draw down. We give them a 2-year window for people to become get proper governance in place, and even that seems to have failed. So as far as my view is that we have a scheme here that simply doesn't work, and that my preference would be that the board members go back to the drawing board with a sum of money on the table and decide how best they can use that with clean sheet of paper. As far as I can see, the current model fails altogether, and I think, from the point of view of the oversight from government at the moment, this doesn't look great, quite honestly. But we're demonstrating money that's not being put to good best use, and yet we are proposing continuing not to put money to best use. But that's my view. So I'm afraid I can't support this. I think we should bite the bullet, quite honestly, and let the board members debate this with a clean sheet of paper discussion. That's what I think.
So I'll say what I was going to say to my amendment now, because I don't know whether it's going to turn out to be the only opportunity or not. Okay, well, what now? Can I move my amendment now? Okay, well, I'd like to move my amendment now. You're going to talk. Well, I'm going to say what. Let me just say what I was going to say. I'm sitting here as I'm the leader of East Thames District Council, which is one of the national leading authorities in the country for the number and quality of community land trusts in our district. We are notable for the efforts that we have made, and we've got tried and tested mechanisms for doing that. And we support, within this. I've got no skin in this game at all, because this arrangement does not benefit East Cambridgeshire, because East Cambridgeshire has continued to have its own in-house support. So I'm advocating here on behalf of the rest of the county, Peterborough, West Cambridgeshire and Peterborough. I did submit questions, by the way, to officers last Monday, but I didn't hear back. I was hoping to get the information back from them before submitting my amendment, which is why I've not been able to submit my amendment for today, so apologies for that. There is a fundamental misunderstanding of how community-led development works in this organisation and going on here today from what's been said. It's not about how many applications to the support fund are made. Some community-led development projects move swiftly ahead and get on with it without ever making applications to a fund of this nature. It depends what they are. It is absolutely for the community to decide. So we sit here, paragraph 22E of our devolution deal with government states, work with community land trusts to deliver new schemes recognising the benefits that these schemes bring to the community. The ECH report is dated 16th of February. Given that there's a 2-week lead-in time for papers to be ready for this meeting, I honestly cannot see how it's probably been given proper consideration. In late January, the board of the Private Authority, many members here today sit on the board, reconfirmed its commitment to supporting community-led development in both our budget and in the emerging business plan. The budget paper cites Eastern Community Homes specifically as a respected partner in its delivery of support to community groups. And at paragraph 7.39 of the budget paper, it was stated that CPCA will continue to support community-led housing schemes, as referred to when we're talking about ECH. So not only did CPCA agree to continue to provide the £5,000 set-up grants, which are absolutely necessary to help groups of people get incorporated and form a trust, and to continue to support the ECH contract or arrangement, whatever it is, in its budget and its business plan. It also agreed, at the request of East Counties, as we've heard, a new £100,000 fund for community groups to apply for pre-commencement financial support. So this bridge is once a group has incorporated, they need funds to go out and do things like reviewing all their governance arrangements, identifying land opportunities, carrying out housing needs assessments, supporting planning discussions, building a vision, carrying out community engagement, general support basically. It's a highly technical area, this, and they need that support, and that £100,000 pot is to bridge that gap because there is no national funding available, and when national funding is available it's massively oversubscribed, and it's only open for short periods of time, and there's no prospect on the horizon of that money, which is why this organisation carefully created a £100,000 pot for these groups. The recommendation to withdraw funding from ECH, and worse, to discontinue providing support altogether, and to return the budget for alternative uses. This has come totally out of the blue. It's not been discussed with leaders' strategy meeting. The forward plan, even the forward plan that we had at the end of January, stated to consider a proposal to renew this arrangement, not to cancel it. So nothing discussed at leaders' strategy meeting. It's never come before the Housing Committee. It's totally contrary to what was agreed in the budget and the business plan literally 1 month ago. And the paper gives us no information on why the recommendation to cease the support for community-led development is being proposed. There's no proper officer evaluation of the work of ECH. And honestly, it shows such a lack of understanding of how community-led development works. What actually the ECH report shows is that there is an appetite for the £100,000 and we're waiting for applications to be submitted. This does take time, particularly in areas that aren't used to doing it. We've got it down to a fine art in East Cambs, and groups come forward relatively quickly. If you look at the delivery of the Hadnam scheme compared with the Streatham scheme, it's been very, very fast. So basing a value for money decision on how many grant applications have come forward, as this report appears to do and as Councillor Smith's comments appear to do, utterly misunderstands how community-led development works. And ECH have been providing support to these groups that is unseen. It doesn't manifest itself in grant applications because they're not yet at that stage. It takes time. What I want you to think about is the number of hours that the volunteers in these groups have put into getting where they've got to. All of those issues they need support with. Communities give up their time. Some will spend hundreds, even thousands of hours to bring a development forward. And those are unpaid hours. And all they need is some technical support from professionals who can guide them to make informed decisions, because the decisions don't rest with the advisors. All of the decisions are for the community groups to make. And not every community has a subject matter expert. So this support service is extremely valuable. Talk to some of the CLTs in East Cambs. They will tell you how absolutely necessary the technical expertise is to have. And working with communities takes time. It can take years even, but what you get at the other end of it is a development that a community owns and is proud of and is supported and has a long-term interest in, and that provides money back to that community and provides affordable housing for that community in perpetuity, forever. And community-led development support was established from the outset in the devolution deal. It's been recognised by Mayor Nick Johnson in the business plan, and when he visited Hadnam Community Land Trust in East Cambs and said how absolutely wonderful it was. How does pulling this support now, totally without warning, meet the objectives of the combined authority, and why are we proposing to throw this away? And what on earth is going to happen to the community groups that are waiting to submit their bids and have spent hours and hours and hours of their own time getting to the point they've got to, only to be let down at this vital moment by ceasing all funding? It's just completely wrong, and I want us to continue to provide a support service and be committed to that, which we only agreed 1 month ago in the business plan. And more than Councillor Herbert's amendment, I want us to renew the arrangement with Eastern Community Homes. And let's have a conversation with them by all means and get proper detail on where they're up to with all the groups. And let's realign what we're asking them to do. Maybe we need to ask them to spend more of their time advocating community-led development across Cambridgeshire and Peterborough, and less of their time available for working with individual groups if they're not yet ready. It does take time to promote this, but the benefits are huge and they're worth it. Please don't let this go now on such a win.
Thank you, Councillor Bailey. Councillor Allen, Councillor Whelan, do you want to say anything? Councillor Whelan? Keep your finger.
It's one of those things that it sounds like a great idea, and there are huge advantages in using real CLTs. There are really good things that you can actually do when you have real community support behind. And it would be good to see those coming forward. What we're not seeing is anything coming forward. And that is the real issue. It's not, yes, we can spend as much time as we want talking. We can spend as much time as we want doing anything. Councillor Bailey is very fond of her pet project, which, let's face it, some of them have been actually rejected by the local communities, yet they still push ahead. Please
continue.
They still push ahead, despite the fact that there's quite clearly opposition within the local community, by the local community, the supposed people that she claims are the ones who want it. Now, that has to be taken into consideration, that actually real CLTs are not coming forward. They are not there. So why are we spending money on CLTs which simply are not doing what we would expect of a CLT, a proper CLT?
Thank you very much. I'm going to say one more thing, and then I'm going to come back to Councillor Herbert to sum up. I think, Councillor Bailey, you've had a very long time to talk, actually. So,
to address what's just been said.
well, I mean, you were very forceful in what you said. Other members of this committee have the right to respond to it. I don't want this to get into a political bun fight, particularly as we have elections and so on coming up. So I'm not allowing this committee to be used for political gains, I'm afraid. So you made your points very forcefully. So the point I want to make is that actually, Councillor Bailey, I think
there are some fundamental errors in what's just been said that I need to address, and I would like to address.
Councillor Bailey, you talked for a long time, all right? So I'm moving this on now. I am moving this on now. So I will respond to what I heard you say. Now, you said twice that this organisation fundamentally misunderstands how CLTs work, which actually, to me, is a very strong argument for this organisation not to be involved in it, if it fundamentally understands. But you've also made a very, very strong case for local authorities to be able to deliver, and you have made a very strong case for how good your organisation has been in it, and actually my own organisation has been very successful in supporting community-led housing as well. So my own view is that that's where it sits best, because we have very, very experienced housing teams. We know our local areas, and this is where it should sit. It is not proving to be successful sitting at this level of local government. But I shall now allow Councillor Herbert to summarise his amendment.
I'd just like to move my amendment.
Thank you. So we're going to take. So have we got a wording for the amendment?
So my amendment is that the decision to be deferred for 3 months of engagement, and that it then comes back with the responses from that to the next meeting of the Housing Committee after that.
And that's associated with an extension of the MOU to. Okay, so we captured that. Okay. Yes,
So before we vote on this amendment, can I have clarification that I will be able to put my amendment afterwards, as Councillor Herbert said?
Yeah. If that's the proper process, then yes, of course. Okay. Okay. So can we please vote on Councillor Herbert's amendment? Those in favour? Those against? So the amendment is carried. Okay. So we now. Okay, Councillor Bailey, over to you now.
So I would like to propose an amendment, and before doing so, I would like to provide some clarification that the community-led development groups in East Cambridgeshire do not go ahead against the will of the people.
Can you please stick to the subject of your amendment, Councillor Bailey?
That
debate is finished.
And will you please put your amendments?
So there are some fundamental misunderstandings going on about community-led development, and I'm seeking to make sure that people understand.
Could you please pose your amendment? I'm
The
not
whole
having
point-
this committee
the whole point of
use for
community-led
political grandstanding, I'm afraid.
No, I'm trying to say that the whole point of community-led development is that it comes from the community, and the community decides, and that's exactly what's taken place in East Cambridgeshire.
And your amendment is?
My amendment is that I would like to, A, continue to provide a support service to community homes groups from the 31st of March 2023, and B, renew the arrangement with Eastern Community Homes to provide a support facility to groups that express an interest in progressing a community-led housing scheme.
Thank you. Right, is there any discussion on the amendment? No? In which case, do you want to speak before we go to the vote?
Do I need a
Councillor Bailey?
seconder?
You do need a seconder, sorry. Do we have a second? Councillor Allen will second. Do you want to speak to the amendment, Councillor Allen? No. And Councillor Bailey, do you want to speak before we go to the vote?
Well, I hope that people will support me in this. It is a fundamental point of our devolution deal. It was the stated aim of this authority just in January in our business plan and our budget to continue this support. It has the backing of Mayor Nick Johnson, who has stated how supportive he is of community-led development and said so when he came to visit the wonderful Hadnam Community Land Trust in East Cambridgeshire. So I really hope that people will continue this support and not pull it at this final hour in this way. And you know, I think we need to do better than a 3-month extension, which I don't think is, you know, we're not really going to learn anything. You know, I will support I have supported the 3-month extension because it's better than nothing at all, and it's a stay of execution, but this is an execution if we pull this support. So I really implore people to let's move on and keep with our belief in community-led development.
Thank you very much. So can I see those in favour of Councillor Bailey's amendment? 2, 4. And those against? 3. So the amendment fails. Right, where are we now?
So, in terms of Councillor Herbert, amendment. So the recommendations to the board will be the decision to discontinue. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Is this on?
Yeah. It's on this one.
Yeah, okay. The decision to discontinue providing a support service to community home groups from the 31st March 2023 to be deferred for a 3-month period to allow engagement. Did you want to put the wording in, any further wording to allow engagement with local, did you say local?
Yeah. With the local authorities
there will be a Part B to allow the extension to the MOU with Eastern Community Homes for a period of 3 months from the 31st of March, and there will be Part C, which is to report back to the Housing Committee on following the engagement in June.
Thank you very much indeed. Right, so moving on, the last item is the Housing Communities Committee agenda plan.
Sorry, Chair, you'll need to move the substantive.
Have we? I thought we had done that. Oh, we have to come back again and do it. Okay, right, sorry, I thought we'd already done it. Okay, so can I have a show of hands in favour of everything that's been said? Thank you. Thank you. That's passed unanimously. Right, and finally is the agenda plan, which is on page 51 and 52. Any questions on that? No, thank you very much indeed. So the meeting's now closed, and the date of the next meeting? Anybody know it? The 12th of June. So thank you very much indeed, everybody, for coming today, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Chair.